more male clients actually getting the manicures and pedicures and facials done.
There were times where there was pressure.
I sometimes feel like I'm getting paid for doing nothing because I love what I do so much.
Not everybody's going to do it through the schooling system.
In the news tonight, City of Windhoek secures 155 million Namibian dollar loan for new power substation to avoid load shedding.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future, a hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUM for life. We are IUM.
Good evening. Welcome to News on One. Here are the headlines. Baby remains unclaimed at police mortuary for 6 years. One Africa teams up with local content producers. Farmers feel the pinch of increased borrowing rate. And Business on One, Comments Corner, Sports and Weather. First up, a body of a baby has remained unclaimed at the Windhoek Namibian Police mortuary for over 6 years. The baby suspected to have been dumped is amongst 38 unclaimed bodies. Khoma's police spokesperson Sila Shipandeni said the 38 unclaimed bodies exceed the mortuary capacity limit of 36.
So far, we can say that there is more than 30 unclaimed bodies in the police mortuary. There is even as far as a body that have stayed for more than 6 years. More than 6 years in this particular facility, which is a very serious concern, and that is why we are coming out here to advocate or to bring it to the public to say that we need to make sure that at least we are searching for our loved ones.
Shipandeni stated that the majority of the bodies were people bumped on public roads, baby dumping, and bodies discovered in riverbeds.
Most of the bodies that you will find that are not claimed here is from the public roads, people that were bumped on our public roads, and then most of them, they are found without the identification on their bodies. We do all the necessary procedure that need to be done. Their fingerprints taken, sent to Home Affairs, but still sometimes the system does not even reflect any identity of that particular person. But just to say that one of those ones, it's people that are bumped on our public road, which is now motor vehicle accidents. And then there comes the issue of riverbed. Some of the body also that are not claimed are those that we discover from the riverbed, people that were killed or murdered in the riverbed, and then these bodies also, you will find the person does not have identity, and then comes an issue to trace a relative or a family of that particular person. Otherwise, a baby dumping issue, babies that were dumped are also one of those bodies that are really dominating or sort of occupying this particular space.
Shipandeni further explained that the police is not authorized to donate unclaimed bodies to academic institutions for practical lessons. He stated that if the relatives do not claim the bodies, they cremate them.
There is no law that authorizes us to donate these particular bodies to any institution or any organization for whatever experiment. Otherwise, if families cannot claim these particular bodies, the only little that we can do is to make sure that at least we incriminate them. And that is the procedure that we normally follow. But it's also costly, as much as the families sometimes also do not have cost to bury their people. Even the government itself, it's also struggling in this regard.
Welcome to the Living Room Stadium. It's the FIFA World Cup. The match is about to start. Food and drink ready. There's no space left for anyone. Come on, get your lucky chair. Take your usual spot. Even the puppy has one. It's preparation time. You can feel the tension in the air. And do you have everything you need to believe?
The Windhoek municipality appointed George Mayumbelo as acting chief executive officer for the next 3 weeks. A media release issued by the city of Windhoek this afternoon stated that Mayumbelo's appointment is effective today until 30 November. Mayumbelo, who is the strategic executive for Human Capital and Corporate Services Department, takes over from O'Brien Hekanyo, who acted as CEO from 16 August 2022 until 8 November this year. According to the press statement, quote, "As an organization, we believe that under his leadership, the organization will continue to strive for success," end quote. Local television channel One Africa is brimming with fresh new shows. The popular local brand recently celebrated its growing family by hosting an event to showcase its appreciation at its Windhoek headquarters, which was attended by various local content producers, providing the brand with fresh content. Fans can already see some of the content on TV, while more content will be rolled out in coming months.
The content provided through One Africa's new partnership include the recently live streaming of the Dr. Hanken Cup for rugby fans, as well as Car and Gears, Miss and Mr. Supranational, the World Namibia Conservationist in Action documentary series, The Third Wheel, as well as the Namflix TV series. Following a welcoming briefing by One Africa CEO Stefan Euker and station manager Sebastian Kovacev, News on One caught up with some of the content producers, including The Third Wheel executive producer Franz Grier.
This was something very good for me. I've met other people. We came here to know each other, and then from One Africa side, I've seen this as something that can take us to the next level. It is our dream to tell our stories, our Namibian stories, and so that our stories can be there for the next generation. So I can see this as something, a start of platform that One Africa is creating for us to tell our story. So we are very, very excited about this.
The CEO of One Africa, Stefan Euker, expressed his excitement and highlighted the importance of producing local content for broadcast to the nation.
The nation must capture their stories, and their stories must be told. It's part of history for future generations. It's part of the cohesiveness in a nation that the stories are told. So it's extremely important that local content gets produced, and that in video format local content is produced, and that it's done and broadcasted to the nation. So I believe a local television channel like One Africa that has its roots in this country has a very big role to play to be a platform for those stories.
News on One asked some of other local content producers about partnering with One Africa as a TV channel.
One Africa is involved as our media partner, official media partner, and it really is, it's a dream come true for me because I've worked on this for quite some time and knocking on doors, and obviously with COVID and all of that, it's like, nah, maybe next time, and the miracle happened. So for me, this is absolutely amazing. So I'm so honored to have One Africa as my official media partner. And the journey thus far has already been awesome, as always with One Africa.
Our program is called Cars and Gears, and awesome that it's One Africa TV because we share a very similar DNA to One Africa TV. We're all about local content, all about keeping it Namibian, and One Africa is doing this exactly the same thing. So best platform ever for us to be able to share Cars and Gears.
I agree with Richard, and it makes me happy to know that we, as Namibians, can do something in Namibia, for Namibia, by Namibia. Otherwise, it will not be real. And I always say, this is what Namibia is made of.
In celebration of the occasion, One Africa provided a photo opportunity for the content producers to cut a branded cake. One Africa TV is available nationwide on DSTV channel 284, GoTV channel 90, as well as online DSTV Now and www.oneafrica.tv.
The Senior Research and Product Development Officer at the Agricultural Bank of Namibia stated that the recent rise in interest rates is becoming increasingly difficult for farmers with agribank loans to pay off or keep up with loan payments.
Indileni Nangonga explained that although agribank's interest rates have not gone up, farmers are still affected by the Bank of Namibia repo rate adjustment as cost of living constantly rises. According to Nangonga, the Bank of Namibia has increased the repo rate with the aim of controlling inflation and to encourage economic growth. However, the rate of inflation continues to take a toll on customers and investors.
So covering the market watch for October, we have seen that interest rate has been skyrocketing, while at the same time you also have inflation going up significantly. Now that has an impact on farmers' input cost, but also has a ripple effect on your consumer as well as your business investment or corporate investments. And that's now with the inflation increasing significantly. So your disposable income is quite under pressure. And at the same time, you have interest rate going up, and that, yes, you want to kind of get your real return in positive territories because inflation is eroding real returns. However, real returns is still on a downward trajectory, picking up slightly towards the end of October, but still very, very low compared to what you would have expected with interest rate increasing at this current pace.
Nangonga told Agri on One that other disadvantages of increasing the repo rate is that products such as animal feed, veterinary services and transport also go up. She added that with the prediction of the oncoming brown locust swarms from the Northern Cape in South Africa, farmers will especially have to be financially ready to mitigate damages.
If you look at interest rate increasing as well, that also has a bearing on farmers, especially of those who are banking at commercial banks. Agribank is not regulated by Bank of Namibia. That is why our interest rates are still fixed. Of course, farmers who are having loans with Agribank are not affected by interest rate increases. However, they are affected by the rise in inflation because of transport costs increasing, any other input cost that is increasing simultaneously. On the negative side, however, is that we have seen that in South Africa, they have already announced that, your brown locust the outbreak could actually happen, especially towards your summer season, and that would have either a spillover effect, that's if they cross over to the Namibian borders, affecting I think mostly your southern farmers and so forth.
On the positive side, Nangonga said, the rainy season is especially favorable for crop farmers, while livestock farmers will be able to accumulate more vegetation for grazing.
If you look at the outlook for rainfall, looks quite positive for the next coming season. And that, of course, is great for crop farmers. Hopefully we'll get a bumper harvest again in the next season. And it's also positive for livestock farmers because, your rangeland conditions are improving, your pasture is improving, and that reduces your feed cost. And it's also very important that farmers continue at a diversifying pace where they don't just farm with livestock, but also diversify into better crops, livestock, charcoal, and all the others, just to improve the cash flow and also just to make sure that if one area of their farming operation is affected, then at least the other area is booming and they can still cushion the risk or the shock that might happen, whether it's a sectorial shock, whether it's climatic shock, or whether it's an economical shock that might impact their farming operation.
Nangonga said that diversification at a time such as this will save a lot of farmers' pockets and produce.
There are data deals, and then there are Telecom Namibia data deals. And if you want the biggest data deal of all, you gotta get 31-day Jiva, which comes with a massive 50 gigs of data. Is it even possible to use 50 gigs of data in a month? You tell us. You also get 1,000 voice minutes and 400 SMSs. To get your hands on 31-day Jiva, dial star 130 star 780 hash and enjoy a month of mega data. Whoa, that's a lot of data, minutes and SMS. How much is that? Must be expensive. No, it's only 185 Namibian dollars excluding VAT. T's and C's apply. Telecom Namibia.
Sharing your world.
Welcome to this edition of Business on One. Ministry of Mines and Energy Petroleum Commissioner Maggie Shino said that the government local content policy, which will give Namibian businesses priority in the mining and petroleum sector, will ensure that most Namibians participate and are employed in these sectors. The policy is expected to be finalized by the end of this year.
Shino stated that the issue of local content is only mentioned in the government's Petroleum Act and Agreement. However, now with legislation review, the development of the local content policy, meaningful objectives within the policy will ensure that Namibia's participation through the entire value chain is clearly regulated and captured.
For every Namibian to be able to understand. It's very critical, especially now at the stage where we are in the industry, where we're just starting. I would like to implore on every Namibian to be able to understand this subject matter and know, so that you can be able to place yourself. How do I participate as a Namibian? With the local content policy, the objective why we have it and we have set it up and how we have crafted it is to give you a clear framework of how do you participate. And this we have done in such a way that it also then, with the policy will enable us as government to clearly also dissect some sectors that we can be able to reserve for Namibians. Of course, this will be done through industrial baseline studies, whereby we are going to do a study that will enable us to know which target area we are able to address as low-hanging fruits that are available for Namibians to partake. And once we've done that, then every Namibian can be able to participate, but you need to place yourself right now. Another objective of the local content policy that we have right now is that we want to ensure that we maximize the participation and the employment of Namibian within the sectors. This we have already been doing through the Petro Fund and with the training and the capacity building that we have done, but we also want to create a clear path in terms of once a Namibian that is capacitated, that's educated, that have knowledge that has been transferred, that is able to have the expertise to participate in the industry, what pathway should they be able to follow? And then with that also, as I said, we are pragmatic. We want just to make it law that local companies should be able to participate throughout the full value chain. We have NAMCO, we have the broad-based economic groups that always participate, but we don't want only to stop at licensing. We want to ensure that when the Namibian product is going to the market, there must be a Namibian company that is also participating.
On skills development, Namibia's Green Hydrogen Commissioner James Newby indicated that skills required for the production of green hydrogen in the country are in abundance. Newby added that developers are obligated to work with local technical and vocational education and training institutions.
And then we've also ventured into the realms of skills development, where there are now obligations on the developer to work with local TVET organizations to actually ensure that a lot of the training for, because you know, when people think about green hydrogen, they think of fancy molecules and chemicals and fuels. A lot of it is actually just construction. A lot of construction and logistics. And those skills are available in Namibia in abundance. So, for example, building 800 or 700 wind turbines in the Tsalkaheb will require a moving of a lot of abnormal loads, long wind blades, for example, and at the same time setting up solar farms in Namibia. We've done that to the tune of more than a couple of 100 megawatts across the country. That's digging holes, putting in poles, cement, etc. with electricians. So we've gone ahead and identified all the different job specifications. And then on top of that, we've tailored a specific national scholarship program that is offering funding for Namibians to get the skills in those specific jobs. And we're working through that scholarship program specifically with the developer to then say, once these Namibians are skilled, can you take them up into your development to ensure that we don't have people with degrees but they're sitting on the street. So these are specific targets that the Namibian government is negotiating, and then we're going to be developing a commission that will, a synthetic fuels commission, that will actually monitor and report on the achievement of those targets, which is something as a government we think we can do a little bit better than we've done before.
That is all we have for you. Be sure to follow us on our social media pages for more on business news.
Back in the day, Susie's phone used to ring like a hotline. She was the most popular girl in town. But since she did not register her SIM card with her mobile service provider, her phone does not ring anymore. She has tried to get something similar. She has tried this and that number, but it has never been the same. So now, she has a reputation of being a number hoarder. Instead of just registering her SIM at her mobile service provider and keeping her number. Excuse me one sec. Hello? No, this isn't Susie. Have you tried her other number?
Don't miss out on important communications like Susie. Register your SIM to keep your number. Visit www.cran.na.
The Namibian police arrested a 56-year-old man after he allegedly shot and killed his 56-year-old wife and 30-year-old daughter at Stinkwater, Dordebes on Saturday. The wife was identified as Maggie Roy, while the daughter is Goldie Landsberg. Andrea said hearing of a person's death seems to have become a norm. Dafa Lau pointed out that depression is real. Stanley said guns are the problem and the justice system must save the women and children. David has doubts about getting a firearm. Zakaria said Namibia needs to evaluate on how to handle men. That's it from Comments Corner. Please continue engaging with us on our stories for broadcast on News on One.
Prevent cramps with Fabufarm's new MBA Cramp Stop. Developed to bring fast and effective relief from cramps in athletes, active people and senior citizens. Manufactured in Namibia, Fabufarm's MBA Cramp Stop contains a carefully selected blend of vitamins and essential minerals to prevent cramps, with a full month's supply of capsules. It's Fabufarm's new MBA Cramp Stop, your #1 choice in cramp prevention. Now available at all leading pharmacies countrywide.
Jessica Lagranzi, Marketing Coordinator here for the Kostef Arts and Crafts Center in Swakopmund. We started our journey in 2009 already, and as part of
And in sports news, the Commonwealth Games Association, alongside the Namibian Canoe and Rowing Federation, will host the first ever Commonwealth Rowing Beach Sprints competition in Namibia. The 3-day event will take place at Walfish Bay's Independence Beach from the 2nd December and is expected to attract over 200 athletes from as far as the United Kingdom, Canada and Australia.
Coastal rowing, which often takes place in rough waters, is much more different from a flat water Olympic style of going in a straight line first drifted into Namibian waters in 2007. A special lightweighted boat will be used to row from the beach, which is the starting point, 500 meters into the ocean and back. Speaking at a media conference held in Windhoek today, Vice President of the Namibia Canoe and Rowing Federation, Anton Jacobi, says despite different challenges, Namibia is ideal for hosting the Commonwealth Games this year.
Coastal rowing is at this stage one of the fastest growing sports in the world because it is so easy. In our country, it's very, very difficult to do rowing developing and canoeing development. You know, our biggest problem is the dams. All the dams there's also always a few issues around it. We have Warnock, which we also can say Christy Bernardi saw this plan and he gave us a piece of land for developing. And then the other thing is the sea. The sea is big. There's also an issue because this sport you can't run where the waves is higher than 50 centimeters. And that is what makes the independent beach so nice. Between the Noble Base and the Bird Island, the sea is very nice for this type of sport. And with a bit of upgrading on the side, I think we can have a world championship there, not only a Commonwealth championship.
World Rowing and the Commonwealth Rowing will donate 10 new rowing boats valued at $1.4 million Namibian in developing the sport in the country.
The Namibian Canoe and Rowing Federation is humbled by this kind gesture. Those boats will facilitate talent identification and training of young and promising athletes that will eventually progress them to the higher level in the sport. The Namibian Canoe and Rowing Federation wishes to express sincere appreciation to the Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Services for supporting the event and for assisting with the delivery of the boats at the Walvis Bay port. The training camp focuses on empowering coaches and umpires with the necessary skills, techniques and tools to further develop and grow the sport in their countries and ultimately facilitate training camps and competitions in their respective countries. Each country will also bring athletes of both gender that will participate in the training camp.
Rumon concluded that the Federation, with the Commonwealth Games Association, will provide a training camp for Namibians, including countries such as Malawi, Zambia, Botswana, Bahamas and Barbados.
That's it from sports. Up next is the weather forecast. We've come to the end of tonight's edition of News on One. Please don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms. From me, Isai Sipunga, and the rest of the team, it's good night.
The International University of Management, a Namibian university dedicated to its people's future. A hub of abundant opportunities.
We are IUF.